Hey, everybody, and welcome back to a Maneaters series. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got my awesome guest for today, Dustin Hubbard. How you doing, Dustin?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Dustin, it's been a while since you've been on Maneaters. I think since last season.
It has.
And I looked it up, and the last episode that we did together was Sea Beast, I
Beast.
believe. Yeah. So, this is going to be fun. I think we're going to have you back again this season because I think what we're doing is doing 5 and 5,
Mhm.
so you'll be the last and you'll probably be back in December before December, but for
Okay.
the December episode. So there you go. You know.
Woo.
Ooh, all right. So we're gonna be talking about a movie called Roadkill. And Roadkill, I always remember the box. Like I remember what the bird looked like and everything on the box.
Mhm.
And I was actually very surprised that the bird actually looked like the bird on the box. Generally that's doesn't happen,
Yeah, it's never the actual case where the the creature they put on the cover matches what's on there.
right? But it kind of gives me like the giant claw vibes,
Yeah.
looking at it. A much better done giant claw movie.
It looks like a very malevolent version of something out of like the Flintstones movie. Like it looks like something evil out of the Flintstones movie to me.
Like a pterodactyl. There
Yeah.
was a movie called a pterodactyl, like
There was.
Terror. Did you ever see it? I hadn't seen it.
Yes, I own it actually.
Oh wow, I'm surprised. Somebody has to own it. I might buy that on. Is it on DVD?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, I'll have to go buy that because that's a great title, by the way.
It is. It's a perfect title. That's titles like that are screaming, make me a movie. So
Which I was so sad about because I thought of it, and this is way after it already came out. But like
Mhm.
I thought of that title, and I was like, man, I wonder if I could ever make a movie called Pterodactyl. And I looked it up. I was like, fuck. All right, well, whatever. You know.
It's
Um.
definitely better than Pterodactyl, Coolio.
Uh.
So
Yeah, I've heard about that movie. Anyway, let's talk about Roadkill. So Roadkill starts out, starts out in Ireland, and a bunch of friends, I guess, are meeting up, you know.
Mhm.
So they all met up at a hotel. But before then, I guess you see like this guy get killed, and this kid, like brother of the guy that you don't see until later, you know.
Yeah. The big
Uh
star.
the big star of the movie who's only in it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's such a quick appearance.
I
So
know it was quicker. It was quicker than like a Gary Busey appearance.
yeah, it's like two scenes, and he's like barely amounts to 5 minutes. I mean, it always fascinates me how someone like Stephen Ray, man, he was in Academy Award winning films like The Crying Game and Interview with a Vampire, and now he's in and then he ends up in a sci-fi channel movie called Roadkill.
Well, it's really funny because I'm doing, and this will be out by the time I do it, but I'm doing today 52-week movie challenge, and I'm doing the New World with Christopher Plummer,
Mm-hmm.
and I just watched Dracula 2000 with Christopher Plummer. And
Yeah,
I'm like thinking, wait, he was a big star before Dracula 2000. Then he did Dracula 2000, and then he did a New World where he was, like,
at
ah,
least at least Dracula 2000 still played in the movie theater.
yeah, it played in the movie theater, and it was a big production, like Weinstein,
Yep.
company. So it
Yep.
wasn't like sci-fi, made for sci-fi channel kind of
Yeah, it
crap.
had a pretty decent budget. I saw it in the theater. Its sequels were not theatrical though.
Yeah,
So
they went direct to video, which we'll be also talking about this
yeah.
month. So, which is not this month. This comes out. This comes out in July. So June, it'll already
Mhm.
be over. So go check that out on Horror Film Lovers, where John Ward and I talk mainstream horror films on Monday. Um,
Sweet.
yeah. So what was I gonna say? So it takes place in Ireland, and these bunch of these American brats. Uh, a couple of them I liked, but most of them I couldn't care less. Like,
They're
what
very
happened.
they're very stock character types.
I know you've got
Kind of hard
kind
to
of.
tell them apart.
Well, actually, I could tell them apart, except for the two guys that were like the one was the brother and one was uh ex-boyfriend or whatever. Sometimes I got them confused,
Yeah.
but I knew when the doofy one was, that guy annoyed the fuck out of me from like the beginning of the movie. I was like, oh god, we've got the like quote unquote comic relief kind of character who
Yeah,
isn't very funny.
he felt like he was like the James DeBello of the group.
It's true. I never thought about that. But James, they should have gotten James DeBello.
Kind of looked like him too to me.
They should have gotten James DeBello. It's not like at
I'm
that
sure
time.
I'm sure at that point he was hireable. So,
I know, like he was already past was Detroit Rock City and stuff and Cabin Fever. So like, why not? I love James DeBello. I think I used to be friends with them on Facebook. Don't know if I still am. But anyway, so let's go on. So like there's these characters who they're all on, sightseeing through Ireland, and they go through like I don't know, like almost woods areas kind of, like out in the middle of
nowhere.
Which I'm like, who sightsees to the middle of nowhere, you know?
Like who goes to random countries like that just to like go out in the middle of nowhere and drive?
Well, I mean, I can sort of see it if you're like backpacking, like in American Werewolf in London, you're like backpacking through those things, and it's sort of a trip, kind of thing. But like this was literally a sightseeing tour that they're supposed to be doing.
Like there's just like a big like SUV or like camper thing.
Yeah, RV like thing, and then they go and they need to go to the bathroom because apparently somebody clogged it up or fucked it up or whatever, so they have to go to the bathroom, and I guess they decide to stop in at this kind of restaurant / store or something. I don't know, like people are just like hanging out, but it didn't look like a restaurant. And so they go in this place and they meet this gypsy guy, actually band of gypsies. And the gypsy guy like kind of sells them something for like 10 whatever it is in Ireland. It's not what is it in Ireland? I
don't remember what their monetary denomination is.
Yeah. Whatever it was,
Irish cash.
Yeah, Irish cash. And they said, so the one girl sees his necklace and says, I want that. And he's like, it's not for sale. Generally speaking, if somebody says it's not for sale, don't bother them about it.
Which is funny because this movie probably didn't age well in its depiction of gypsies, because I don't think it's probably very kosher to, are we allowed to even call them gypsies anymore?
That's what they call them. I'm just calling them what they call them.
I mean, that's the movie of 2011. I mean,
but
I feel like it's not even.
What is it? Yeah, you know what? My my former roommate Lila would hate me saying that word.
I feel like it's comparable to something like midget or something now, where it was you used to be able to say it, but it's considered more inappropriate. I don't know what the appropriate terminology for.
Let me look that up real quick, because that's a good
is like a traveler.
What do you call a gypsy now?
But the classic depiction of a gypsy, I mean, I don't really picture a gypsy not selling you something. They ask about his necklace, they a cliche version of such would probably try and get any kind of money out of these people as possible, down to selling them the shirt off their back, but they don't. So
it is okay. Some people identify themselves as ethnically Roma or Romani, are offended by the word gypsy, and most standard dictionaries have reservations about using it to mean Roma. On the other hand, some Roma people don't mind being called gypsies, and others can embrace the term. So I don't know. I'm
Roma.
just calling them what they call them.
Well,
So
that's what the movie identifies them as, but we would call them Romas, I
I
guess.
guess, yeah, traveling
Roma.
travelers. I mean,
Yeah,
whatever.
I've heard gypsies be called travelers as well, but
Anyway, moving on. From that. You're right. So these Romas are at the place, and one of them has the necklace, and he says it's not for sale, but the girl's like, everything's for sale. And then he looks at her and says, well, are you for sale? And I laughed. Nobody else laughed in that thing. They were like, hey, no, she's not, blah blah blah. And I'm like, dude, he's just proving a point. He
yeah,
wasn't saying, are you for sale?
he's not. He doesn't want to actually buy her. He's just
Right.
making a smart alecky point.
Yeah, and his point is not everything is for sale, and he's right.
Like, yeah,
So
chill out, you cocky like rich white kids.
I
Like,
know rich
have
white kids is
you
like,
don't get to have everything you want. That was kind of the point of that, but
right. So she ends up talking him into 100, whatever Irish dollars,
Mhm.
and he agrees to that. I guess it's really weird how it went, because he was taking off the necklace, and I thought he handed it to her, but then later she had it in a box.
Mhm.
So I'm like, wait, did he put it in? Did he, like, because he did the bait and switch, but like we never, obviously we weren't supposed to see it because we weren't supposed to know it happened,
Yeah.
but we had to see something. And the way that it was just edited, that just looked weird to
Yeah,
me.
it was that sequence did play out sort of weird to me as well.
Yeah. And then we meet or then we meet the other Roma, who is this um older woman who is basically asked for, like, for 20 Irish dollars, I will, I'm just going to keep saying Irish dollars because I don't know, but rupees or something, ruples, I don't know, whatever it was. I'll give you
A rude.
I'll, yeah, I'll read your
Mhm.
uh your future or whatever,
Yeah, like tell your
and tell your fortune. And then she says, no, thank you. And the lady's like, Ryan is the name of your true love, right? And she's like, am I going to be with him forever? And I guess technically she does, because she kind of dies with him, so later she is, but she sees
yeah.
sort of I guess she sees the future of what's going to happen. But then I'm like thinking, okay, so did she jump out into the car on purpose, or was like, because if she could sort of see what was going to happen,
Mhm.
then she knew she was going to die, right? I'm very confused as that. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
I don't
know.
I don't know how this mystical fortune telling shit
Yeah,
works.
I don't understand how clairvoyance works. So I am not myself clairvoyant. So
Neither am I. And I'm glad I'm not. I really don't want to see the future.
yeah,
I kind of want that to be, a surprise.
yeah.
Like, that's more, like they say, like um was it the was it the past is history, the future's is a mystery. And I really
Mhm.
believe that, like, and I like it. You don't know what's going to happen in 5 minutes from now. Like,
Mhm.
I hate to say it, but the whole world could just blow up, or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
and we wouldn't have a clue that happened. In fact, there was something, and we'll get to it in a little bit, but in a little while, but there was something that happened that I was not expecting, and I've seen this once before, and I forgot about it. You
Mhm.
know, um, but that shocked me, and it was almost like a mystery. Like, oh crap, how when did that happen?
Yeah.
So anyway, so they all they find out they've been ripped off by that guy. So the annoying guy steals steals the necklace from the dude, and they all run off, into the car. And as they get into the car, he's driving and he's just all showing off what he's doing, not paying attention. He runs over the old woman,
Yeah.
and she curses them, says, you're cursed, and the rock's gonna get you or something. And I was thinking, the rock, Like, I mean, I'd be scared if what Dwayne the Rock Johnson was coming after me, like if he was cursed to, wouldn't that suck? If like
He would
for
not.
him,
Yeah, he
it
would
would
not want to come after me. That's for sure.
it was, I don't know, who would you be more scared of, the bird or the bird the rock or the rock the rock?
Probably like Dwayne Johnson.
I think I'd be more scared of Dwayne because like
Yeah.
the bird has to like swoop down to get you. So like
Like if
I'm
you
always,
stay inside somewhere, you'll fairly be safe. Like
yeah, like you go in a house, he like the only time that they weren't safe was in the RV because he
yep.
like, went into the RV, but like most of the time if you stay in a house, I don't think he would do anything to you. Like
Yeah, it's like one of those. It's like watching a shark movie, and it's like, well, you'll stay safe if you just
stay out of the water.
swim water. It's like they're like,
Yeah, but then you have that mayor that's all telling everybody, oh, don't
oh,
worry,
we
don't
can't
listen to
we
them.
can't close down. We have a big fair coming.
Yeah, we got everybody coming out here. That'll ruin the tourist,
Exactly.
and
It'll
I'm
kill
like,
tourism. Like,
it definitely killed the tourism. But anywho, so what is it? So they are cursed and they don't know what's going on, and then the birds like swooping down, attacking them, and there's always that one guy that knows about the stuff. I'm
mhm.
like, he's the only one who knows, oh, there's it's like the brother or whatever, but he's like, oh yeah, the rock is from like the Sinbad movies, and I'm like, how the fuck does he know that? you
Yeah.
know like, I'm like thinking, damn, dude.
Got to be
Like,
like a fan of classic cinema to know that. Like,
right. And or just like, instead of like he knew the history stuff.
mhm.
So he tells them, that it's bird, that whatever, and the bird starts attacking, and at one point there's a little boy in the street, and they go to, I guess one of the girl goes to talk to him, and one of the girls goes to talk to the little boy, and then the boy runs off, and the girl gets swept away, by the thing, and I'm like, okay, like why would you even get out? Like beep at
Yep.
the kid, tell the kid get out of the fucking
Come here.
road, you
Like,
know?
come to us. Like,
Yeah, or not even. Just get the fuck out of the road. I don't care where we are. Just go. Just keep going until you run into something,
run over him. If anything, it's like it'd be a better death than being eaten alive by a giant computer animated bird.
Computer animated bird.
Like,
That feels like its own title of a movie. Computer animated bird. CAB.
it's the companion piece to bad CGI sharks.
Oh man, I still need to see that. I haven't seen that yet. Anywho, so this movie has these guys, or so the one girl, the first girl, who apparently is probably the more famous one, I guess, or something. Like I've read up on her, and she's like very famous in Ireland.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Let me see her. She's her name was like Royson Murphy,
Yeah.
and she's been in Vikings and
Yeah. See,
uh
I wasn't really familiar with any of the kids other than Oliver James.
right. But apparently this girl, said, I swear, yeah, she's an Irish singer, songwriter. Uh she Oh wait, that's another, is that the same one? No way. It can't be the same one. It must be two Royce Murphys then. Because it's saying she's 48 years old. No way. Like, I don't think any of them were that. That would have meant that she had to have been like, oh, she would have had to been like 38 then. No, she was in her 20s.
Was
That
about
chick.
11 years ago, so
Yeah, she would have had to be like in her 20s or maybe early 30s. Yeah, no, it's not the same girl. But this girl's been in Vikings and a bunch of other stuff. So good for her. Um, So anyway, she ends up getting killed, and then the next we didn't even mention that this is directed by Johan Roberts, who everybody what?
Yeah, Johannes Roberts, like a classic case of like indie B movie director like making big.
Yeah, like he did a lot of B movies, and then
Tons of like legit B movies, and then he goes on to make like 47 meters down, and he made the new Resident Evil movie.
yeah, Welcome to Raccoon City.
Granted, it was a flop, but I mean, still, that was a big deal. So for
Yeah.
someone who used to make like sci-fi channel movies and that kind of stuff,
Well, I mean, even if it's a flop, he'll probably still get work.
yeah, he'll still get work because
He'll get an
that movie will make profit after time with DVD and Blu-ray sales.
and
So.
even then, like somebody will be like, they'll look at that and they'll say, "Hey, that guy's still good. Let's put him in," because he's done. I mean, I liked 47 Meters Down. Did not like the sequel. Sequel is just crap.
First one was good.
First one was perfect. Like they didn't need a sequel, but we reviewed it for Hard Blood and Coffee, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
I just didn't like it. But it was same. Johannes. Did you say it was like Johannes or Yo?
I say Johannes Roberts. I could be wrong though.
Yeah. But anyway, so they keep driving, and then they get a flat tire, of course, or whatever. And then one of them has to go out and do it. And of course, I hate to say this is gonna sound terrible, but it's the token black guy. Like, why couldn't he lived?
After a fatal game of rock paper scissors,
where they just kept doing scissors apparently.
Yeah, like neither one of them wanted to give up the scissors, and then of course it was the black man who lost. So
yeah, so then he went to go, go do it, and then my least favorite part of the movie is like they all got out, to go look at this dude. Yeah. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I don't care. Like, if he was my best friend and everything, one guy goes out to look. Not every.
And he's staying inside the vehicle the whole time.
Yeah, like I would have told them not to. You know what? I would have said, let's just stay in the RV and wait for some kind of police to somebody's got to drive by, at some point. I think they were really trying to get away from the gypsy, or God damn it. I just keep saying it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Romas. If you're offended, I didn't mean to. This is not, but he was, the Roma guys. Luca was his name, the main guy. I liked him, but they did some really stupid shit with those people, with that stuff. Like at the end of the movie, where the guy has the chance to shoot him and he lets him go. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't care if he hasn't ever shot anybody, but don't, that's when you shoot a person, when they're going to try to kill you,
Yeah, they didn't take some of their opportune moments to set things straight.
And then the girl at the end still had the necklace on her and could have gave it to the one guy that left.
Yep.
I'm sorry, we're kind of bouncing around, but there's not
a lot of stupid decisions though.
There's a lot of stupid decisions. I don't know if it was the script, and they were just trying to figure out how to make this work. But I was just like, it was smart for them to go to that one house and ask for the phone, because how are they supposed to know that one house is also run by Romas or something? They all know each other. You know what I mean? Like that's just a random place that they went to. And then what else? Just every single time it's just like, are we gonna have the same scene over and over again? Like one person has a gun and the other person knocks the gun out of their hands, but then the other guy gets the gun back, It's like this happened 3 or 4 times. It just drove me nuts. I'm like, Oh my god, just kill somebody. Like seriously, I'm just getting bored.
The movie
Uh,
does have a fairly big body count, though, for what it's worth. A
yeah, that's true.
lot of
That's but
people, a lot of people get killed in it. So
it's actually a better made Maneaters movie. Um, we've been watching some really crappy ones lately. I
yeah,
mean, we
there's
just watched High Plains Invaders, the one with James Marsters. That was awful. You know,
yeah,
this
that's
was
that's
decent.
that's an atrocious movie. Yeah, there's some really bad ones. I don't, I don't. Yeah, I know you've asked me about some of them, and I'm like, ooh, there's some of those I don't want.
You don't even want to watch again, do
I
you?
don't even want to rewatch them. Yeah, like Hellhounds.
Hellhounds, I've heard that's bad. I'm gonna have to,
I,
you know,
like I'm
I have to succumb to all 27 of them, man.
yeah, like that. Like I'm not rewatching that movie. Like
I gotta watch that. I gotta watch. There's a few
I
that
think you had suggested Behemoth to me.
yeah.
I actually remember enjoying Behemoth.
Behemoth is on this disc that had like so I bought a disc that had three movies on it, and it had Roadkill, Behemoth, and Ferocious Planet. And
Mm,
then I got to see the trailers for both of those right before
yeah,
Roadkill, and I actually, you know, Behemoth looked fun, and Ferocious Planet looked really fun. Um,
yeah. I
that
don't think I've
looks
seen that one.
that's the one like where they apparently were able to go into an alternate dimension that's like filled with like monsters and aliens and stuff like that. And so there's like only one really good line in the trailer where the guy pokes like whatever the thing is, and the girl looks over and goes, "Don't poke the alien." And I was like, okay, that's funny. And this movie had no really funny part like moments to it. It was so serious, like
Yeah, it is. It is
every
very like straight faced. Everything in this movie is played very serious.
there's one point though, the guy like the annoying guy that I don't like, he kind of like asked the like he's saying something like hitting on the girl, and she's like, "Are you hitting on me right now?" And he looks over and goes, "Well, this could be our last day on Earth." And I'm like thinking, dude, no, like
And
not even.
it's
Like
funny too
I'm
because like the annoying guy was the one who survived the longest.
yeah, he was the last death, I guess. I
Yep.
mean, you know, and he didn't have the thing, he didn't have the necklace, but
Mm,
he did shoot like I mean there was a big fire and a big
yeah.
explosion at the end, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, he did
Um
the setup with all the gas pump and just blew up the whole vehicle with we thought the
yeah,
and the dude.
he killed that dude finally, that Roma dude, the Luca, finally, because I mean he was sort of like another villain in the movie.
Yeah.
Um I mean, and it got dark, man. Like at one point, they captured them again, and they told them we are going to the bird feeder, you know. And I was like,
They got
"Geez,
that big pit just full of like all the dead bodies and
I
stuff.
know." I mean, for a sci-fi film, good
It was
God,
very grim.
yeah, it was very graphic too,
Yeah.
like pretty nasty. So the people are like all dead, like hanging, like they were crucified or something.
Yeah.
And then he brings them to that area, and then basically that's it. You know, like they escape. Oh, the part I was gonna say earlier was like the part that surprised me is the girl. So the girl leaves to go show, you know, the other woman, you know, the Roma woman,
Mm.
where the um like where the necklace is.
Mhm.
Um, and then it turns out I guess she was wearing the necklace or something. I don't know.
Mm.
She had the necklace somewhere. Um, but because yeah, so that really pissed me off because she, I guess she had either had been wearing it or found it,
Mhm.
because later when she goes and does the safe, it's empty, and the
Mm.
woman's like, you know, kill her, and he takes the guy's gun and shoots him with it, and
Yeah.
um then he turns out I guess she like knocks the other girl out with the gun or whatever and leaves, but it doesn't show her ever pick up the talisman or whatever, the necklace. So I guess she's been wearing it the whole time or had it in her pocket or something, but you
Yeah.
never see that. So later in the next scene, when she comes to save the guys, she has it in her hand. So that pissed me off. But then was it then they're getting everybody free so that they could leave, and she explains about the talisman, and then all of a sudden the one girl gets shot.
Yeah.
And that was my favorite girl too. I loved her. I wanted her to live.
Pretty sudden and kind of brutal. So
I know.
actually probably the most brutal death in the whole movie is her getting shot.
Right, because like all the rest were like the bird, you know.
They're just like off camera bird attacks. Like,
yeah, I mean some of it was nasty with the face
you
stuff.
see some of the aftermath of like, some cool like gore effects with like the faces slashed and stuff, but like nothing too like crazy though.
Like what always sort of pissed me off, and this happens a lot in movies, or where like the person would get like their half their head, whatever, and then but they're still alive. They're still walking, right? So I'm sorry, but if I were alive and I just had my face, whatever, I'd be running toward the vehicle and say, look, I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Right? But they just stand there and let the bird like just take them away again.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, you got time to run into that fucking RV and shut the goddamn door, So annoying.
Lapses of quality judgment.
I think, well, it's a cool scene. That's the only reason why they leave that kind of shit in there, right? Yeah. So anyway, it was stupid, but whatever. And then so anyway, the girl gets shot. So it's a brutal shit, and I absolutely had a crush on that girl. So I was like, God damn it. Why is it always got to be the girls? But nobody lives really. So I mean,
literally everyone dies.
Yeah. I mean, this bird. Who started this whole like curse? Did they mention that? Because I didn't get that.
I don't believe so. No, I don't think it's ever really expounded upon where the origin of all of it came from.
They did say like the whole idea is if one person sets it up and gets them all killed, then he's lifted from the curse or whatever. And I was like, okay, so is that why I guess that's why the people have been feeding the bird or whatever. But then wouldn't they have been set free then? Because they would have helped, are they that fuck ups that people have gotten freed enough where they weren't, I don't know. It's very confusing.
Yeah.
And then they basically get in the van or whatever. They start going to the woods. They go back in the woods, and the Luca is trying to find them with the people and trying to shoot them. And they kind of split up, and of course, because it takes time, out of the whatever. And then they get back together, and the guy had gotten shot. So, but he was like, I'm going to keep going. And, and then they get to the place and they try to find a phone, and when I call whatever the 911 is. Oh, and they try to use that call thing on the RV.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so they try to call the RV, and they dial the number, and it's like German, so they didn't understand German. I'm like, you got a guy that studies that studies Sinbad, but you don't have one that studies German language. What's the matter with you guys?
It's a choice.
Yeah. He can only do one thing. I mean, if we give him too many things, people might not believe it.
Watch classic Harryhausen films or be bilingual.
Which one are you gonna go with? Which one's really gonna help them in the long run? And really, that was the case, because later he was like, yeah, they realized like fire you know, but it didn't really like hurt it. It's not like the thing got set on fire at all. Because you know why it didn't get set on fire?
Mm.
Because it's like fucking computer animated burn. You know,
You can't burn pixels.
right?
So, like,
So things like attacking them, and they're shooting it with fireballs and stuff, and it's just going. Rah! I need to fly away. I can't get attacked by this stuff. This stuff is not good. And what is up with the fact that it's apparently it was created by fire? What? Like,
yeah, nah.
that was just a stupid excuse for
I got-
like, oh, you gotta explain why fire hurts it. I'm like, fire hurts everything.
Yeah, fire is like the go-to, like fire and electricity are pretty much like the go-to, like two things to kill anything. So
Right. It's like, can't do fire, let's electrocute the bitch.
yeah, it's like burn
Can't
it
electrocute the bitch, let's set it on fire.
or electrocute it, and if you're lucky, it'll catch on fire. So
I mean, wouldn't you think that it would be more along the lines of like drowning or something, like water? If it was like made by fire, wouldn't fire just like make it
Yeah.
fire resistant, or something?
maybe.
I want to say the other word, but it's not PC. Fire.
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah.
I mean, it's a technical term, so
It is a technical term, but I'm still not going to use it. Because we've already gotten our quota with the un-PC dialogue.
the G word way too many times. So.
I know, so I burned that bridge.
And it's so
yeah, the G word. Jesus Christ. We have so many every letter of the alphabet one day is gonna be like it's gonna be the Q word. Oh yeah, I forgot about the Q word.
my mom asked me last night, she was watching TV and she said, since when did it become okay to use, that Q word? And I'm like,
What Q word?
the Q word you usually correlate to homosexuals.
Oh.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, do people just say it now?
Oh,
Is that what you're saying?
yeah. People can identify as that now. So
oh, okay. Well, it's them saying it. It's not it's not saying it's not
I'm like, I don't know. They're taking it back. So
taking it back.
yeah. So
all right. Well, there you go. So anyway, to move on to the finishing thing, basically both her brother and her, and whether the cop shows up or whatever after that, and
Stephen Ray has to collect the other half of his paycheck.
Yeah, so. He was like, "Oh, I gotta come back again."
Yeah.
Ooh. All right. Well, let's make it where I get hit by a van, hit by the RV, so at least I get a cool death. I guess if it's a death or not, it's gonna be a death because if he's just laying there, like knocked out or something.
I count him as a death, but it's like stuff like that's such a waste of a death because it's like he didn't even get killed by the bird. So
yeah, it would have been more cool if he got killed by the bird.
Yeah.
Though when the bird like lifts you up in the air and everything, it looks so bad.
Yeah,
it's like it's definitely like
it looks as good as sci-fi money can afford. So which is
that's true. Isn't much, but
paying for Stephen Ray's one day on set. So
I don't even want. I shudder to think how much that would actually cost.
Like F. Murray Abraham and Lance Henriksen were busy that day, so they had to get Stephen Ray.
F. Murray Abraham. I still say we watched Swamp Shark. Madeline, not Swamp Shark. What's the other one? What's the shark one that was in this one? It wasn't Swamp Shark. Shark Swarm, and we were watching that last year.
That 3-hour movie.
Yeah, god damn, that was long.
I don't ever want.
It's like a mini series, man. But what is it? But F. Murray Abraham, I believe, is in that one, and I kept thinking, I just want to. If I ever meet him, I just want to call him F.
Wasn't he? He was also in. Wasn't he in Blood Monkey as well?
Oh Jesus, man! The sci-fi just loves. He's never worked with the Asylum though, right? Can the Asylum not afford him?
Maybe not.
I'm surprised.
Academy Award winning F. Murray Abraham.
What, didn't you say that like Stephen Reyes is an Academy Award winning guy too? So
I feel like Stephen Ray was an Academy Award nominated actor for Crying Game. He didn't win.
Oh, okay.
I think Jay Davidson took his breakout screen partner. There was the big plot twist in Crying Game. He was the one that actually took the statue for that.
Oh, okay.
Did that and then did Stargate and then vanished into the night and was never seen or heard from again. So,
that sadly happens. People just decide, I'm done.
The best supporting actor curse. So,
is that a curse?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's always been said that the best supporting actor Oscar is a curse. If you get that, your career's probably gonna tank. So
really, you would think that'd be the exact opposite.
Yeah, Jay Davidson, he won for Crying Game, starring opposite Stephen Ray, and then he did one more movie and then just never did anything again. And even Kevin Spacey won Best Supporting Actor.
Can't talk about him.
He's doing B movies now, so
he's probably doing porn now.
The Kevin Spacey B movie era begins this summer. So
really,
yeah.
So people are actually hiring him,
for B movies.
I know, but still. When does Amber Heard start?
I give her 2 years, maybe. Maybe sooner though. I don't know. She's gonna.
I would say sooner. She has to pay off her debts, man.
Johnny Depp, so
yeah, her Johnny debt. Yes. So there you go. So then Stephen Ray dies. Then what is it? They're going off. They hear the phone ring, and so they're like, oh my god, who's this? And they think it's the what is it, the boyfriend, or ex-boyfriend who sort of becomes the boyfriend again. I don't know. I don't understand. All these movies don't need the romantic angle for these. It doesn't really help the plot of the movie out at all.
Just a generic plot device that people always feel like they need to shoehorn into movies. I feel like.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it doesn't always add anything to the film. Sometimes it's just an extra useless plot point or necessary drama that no one asked for.
True.
For characters might not really have any real emotional connection to. So
exactly. So then they find the nest, or whatever. The guy brings them to the nest, the Luca guy, and then he gets whatever. Somehow the guy gets the gun. I forgot. And then the girl gets the gun at the end.
Yeah.
And she goes into the nest and starts putting paint on her face for blood. It was the blood all over her face.
Blood, yeah. It was
it looked like paint to me.
Probably was.
Probably was paint.
Yeah, she's dead boyfriend's blood all over her face.
Yeah. She's putting blood all over her face, and then
they totally let Luca like get away there too, and they don't shoot him or anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like I said before earlier, they don't shoot him.
Back it up because I was like, wait a minute, did something happen and he died like off camera or something? But nothing happened. They don't do anything to him. He just gets away, I guess, because they don't show him leave.
They show him kind of backing up from the guy
because he's just like they don't do anything. And I'm like, I don't understand.
It really annoyed me because the dude turns his back to Luca, right? With the gun in his hand, turns his back. And all I keep thinking is, dude, he could be like right behind you, like about to hit you over the head or something with something, Like you don't turn.
Yeah, you don't even have to do like a fatal, shot or anything. Just like disable him or something, like slow him down so he's not gonna kill you.
Right. Well, you don't even have to do that. You just shoot him in the legs, make him so he can't move, and then the bird will take care of the rest.
Exactly.
Let
him fend for himself. Like,
yeah, because that guy's a dick.
Yeah, he's a total scumbag. Like,
yeah. But the guy who did it is really good. I like him. I've seen that he's done a lot of shit. I just don't recognize his face.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I've probably seen him in something or whatever, and just never thought of it. And then I guess the guy leaves. The annoying guy leaves. The girl is waiting there. She shoots the guns up in the air, I guess, to get the bird's attention, or whatever. And the bird comes down and eats her, even though she's wearing the talisman.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so does the talisman have to be like pointed at him? Like, does it?
I didn't get why it just like came an aider. Like, it didn't.
Also, why didn't she give the other dude if she knew she just wanted to die with the boyfriend and the brother and everything and be in that nest with everybody? Why didn't she just give the dude the necklace?
Yeah.
Like, if she had given him the necklace, he drove around, he left, then he could have blown up the bird, or you know what I mean? Like, he could have done this stuff, but no, he was defenseless basically. And so at the end, he has to blow up the gas station and then, blow up the guy, the annoying Luca guy at the end. And then he falls on the ground and the bird comes in and just eats him at the end.
Yep, classic like final shot of the bird flying straight into the camera to eat him.
Which is sci-fi. Is like, it's not it's over now because now
the monster's still alive at the end, so you can wait for RoadKill 2.
Yeah,
never happened.
RoadKill 2 never happened. None of the Maneaters movies had sequels.
No. Shocking.
Well, I mean, they just kept making these movies and they were just all like one-offs. Could you imagine if they had decided to do like a Maneaters universe and they had like all the people who actually lived get together and create like an Avengers team against these other monsters that, were still out there,
crossovers like RoadKill versus Blood Monkey.
Yeah, RoadKill versus Blood Monkey.
Maneater versus Sea Beast.
Yeah. Was it
High Plains Invaders versus Carney?
Carney. I haven't seen that yet.
Hellhounds versus no one, because that movie fucking sucks.
You're like, just let that die.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I actually can't wait to watch it now, because if you think it's that terrible, it's gonna be fun.
It is awful. If there are two Maneaters movies I would never want to watch again, that one and Shark Swarm.
So Paul didn't like Yeti, and he also didn't like High Plains Invaders.
Yeah, I loved Yeti. I remember really enjoying Yeti. High Plains Invaders is Paul gets into this thing where he'll watch the movie and then he'll analyze everything. The Maneater movie that didn't get made, the one that got made in the multiverse where there's like Mad Cow.
Yeah, he would love that. But then he would probably still analyze it and be like, if this happened, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, it's just a made for sci-fi movie.
Yeah,
it's not.
These movies aren't made for intellectual thinkers.
I know, these are meant for something where you just watch the people get eaten by things. Like, that's literally
they're popcorn fodder. That's all they are.
Yeah, they're like Sharknado. You cannot overthink Sharknado.
No.
If you start thinking, oh my god, this could never happen because of this, and this, I'd be like, dude, you're watching the wrong movie.
Yeah, you just gotta go with movie science and accept that it happens.
It's so funny because Sharknado, I know you used to love those, watching them and having like Sharknado parties, and
like it was like a yearly event.
Right. And so, but I like everybody in the world talks about Sharknado, you
Mm,
know? And it's like it's a weird phenomenon because like I don't even think they thought it was gonna be that big.
no.
Like they thought, oh, I'm just gonna make a movie about a bunch of shark, like David Michael Latt was probably like, it would be funny if a bunch of sharks were in a tornado. And then they're like, write that movie.
And they hinted at it in a previous movie before Sharknado. Did you know that?
What? No.
There was a
What
movie,
movie?
I forget, it may have been a movie written by the Sharknadoes, correct me if I'm wrong, or mostly written by Thunder.
Thunder 11.
So I don't know if he wrote the film, and if I feel like the same director who had done the Sharknado films, whose name
Anthony
Steve Ferrante.
Ferrante. Yes, C. Ferrante.
He directed a movie for Sci-Fi Channel called Red Clover, which aired, I believe, as Leprechaun's Revenge, but then it came out as Red Clover. It's a really, really good movie, actually, with William Devane and Billy Zane. And there's a moment in it where you see like I think they're in a police station and there's a newspaper clipping stuck to a cork board, and someone says like, oh yeah, like that time you claimed that there was that tornado that was like throwing sharks around, and they're like, hey, that really happened.
That's after. You saying that's after? Was that after?
No,
that sounds.
It was before Sharknado 1, I believe.
Oh, I have to look that up. But
kind of like hinted at the.
That's funny. Hold on, let me look that up.
Cinematic universe. So.
Yeah, well, I'm sort of sad that they stopped it, but I can sort of.
For someone who was a big Sharknado fan, it kind of had a sort of a nice wrap up with the last
one. Yeah, so I don't see anything on that, but let me see if there's a trivia about it real quick, because that I know people are gonna be like, what? Well, you guys aren't talking about our movie. Yeah, so Carl Morris and Officer Peterson discuss a story he ran about a tornado bringing sharks to the lake. The newspaper headline was Sharknado, the title of another sci-fi original released a year later. Right. Yep. So yeah, Leprechaun's Revenge is another name for Red Clover. Yep. And this was written by Anthony C. Ferrante. He didn't direct it, but he wrote it. So he must have been sort of the guy that made the
kind of his idea, maybe
his idea, or at least he made that joke in that movie.
And Mr. Laugh was like, this is genius. I'm backing this.
Just like hearing that Dracula 2000, what is it? Harvey Weinstein bought the movie script, even though he said it stunk because it was called Dracula 2000. Yeah. Like that's, if it's got a great title, somebody's gonna want it.
Title sells at that time. Anything with 2000 in the title was like immediate gold.
Was it?
They thought it was.
What else was out? What else? I only know Dracula 2000.
Pokemon 2000.
Oh wow, that's right.
God, there were a lot of them. I can't remember. I mean, that was actually a lifetime ago, but there were tons of like so and so 2000.
It's weird that it's been 22 years since the year 2000. That's nuts.
Since Y2K destroyed everything.
Yeah, I hid in a church on New Year's Eve, thinking that the world was going to end, because I literally thought like the year two. No. I mean, I was 18 or 17, turning 18. I was just a kid, and I was just like thinking, okay, like the world could, whatever. So then I get home, from the church after midnight, and I get home and I look around and all the computer stuff is normal. Everything is like nothing even happened, but you'd think that something could have happened.
Here's a movie for you that, did you ever see the movie Millennium Bug? It's a big monster movie. Great movie actually, if you can find it. It's takes place on the night of Y2K, and people kind of like taking cover, and then there's like a giant monster that
Nice.
causing chaos.
That's always fun. Look, he's eating me. Mm. Mm. Well, he's about to go scoop me up. That's why I picked that picture, because he's about to go scoop me up and stuff. So all in all, what would you say? Like, would you recommend this movie?
I think if people like the Maneaters series, I would recommend it. I wouldn't give it a, I'm not going to give it a super high rating, but I wouldn't give it a super low rating either. I think it hits all the expected beats. It's not
as more like 3 stars out of 5 kind of thing.
Maybe like it hits all the right beats. I don't think it's necessarily got the kind of like silly, like fun tone to it, but I think that the setup and the goofy looking computer animated bird kind of brings that on its own.
I think the bird was the funnest part about the movie. Is just seeing the bird and that the bird attacked enough where it I think, because like sci-fi has a thing where there has to be attack at least every 10 pages.
They have to have specific beats met.
Right? Because otherwise you'd be bored. You know.
Oh yeah, no, totally. You have to keep your audience there. When you're on TV, you have to consider, like, you have hundreds of other channels to compete with. You have to like hold the audience there, so like it can't be boring.
Yeah, so sci-fi knows what they're doing. They made this. They had fun. Johannes Roberts did a great job.
The very capable director. I mean, it's the movie's, I think, for what it's worth, the movie's directed well. So
yeah, I mean, the script might have lacked some, I don't know, some fun to it, and
I mean, it's not the most original thing, but I think it's interesting enough and amusing enough. And there's, like I said, it's got a big body count. The characters are all sort of stock and blah, but I was never really bored.
Neither was I. I enjoyed it.
That's the main thing is just like, don't be boring.
This is my second time watching it, because we were supposed to do it before and our internet connection was terrible. So we scrapped it, and then we decided to do it now. And I wasn't going to rewatch it because I'd seen it just like not that long ago, and I was going to rewatch it. And I'm very glad I did, because it definitely held up, like it was still fun, the second time. And even though like I've seen it, I forgot a bunch of stuff, know.
I always have to go back, and no matter what I'm watching, even if it's like I'm going to review a full moon movie I've watched like 40 times, I'll still go back and rewatch it because I want everything to be fresh in my head.
Right. I mean, there might have been things I forget, and then you might remind me about stuff, and I'll be like, oh, I don't remember that. And now I can say, oh yeah, I remember that because I just saw it.
Yeah, totally.
And it's definitely not a movie like, it's one of those movies that it's easier to like watch than like a lot of movies. You get bored and you just kind of put your phone, you start playing with your phone. This is a movie that makes me want to drop my phone because it's sort of fun to look at, And I watched it on my 4K television, which sometimes kind of transfers the stuff to like upscales it to like 4K. Didn't, I don't think, but it's upscaled it as high definition as it could. And I thought it looked beautiful. So
it looked like that bird was just gonna fly right out at you, didn't it?
I was thinking more the countryside looked so good that I felt like I was in there. The countryside was that stuff. I mean, Jesus, they could have made a whole movie of them like exploring the countryside, and I would have watched that because that's
so real. You could smell the Irish whiskey and bog mummies.
Exactly. I want some banshees, motherfucker. I want some of that. Or leprechauns. We're the leprechauns. We're speaking of leprechauns' revenge. But there were no Sharknadoes. But there was a rock. A semi-rock is what they called it. but I think if I recall what I read before, that was made up just for the movie, but it's actually just The Rock. You know,
Dwayne Johnson of killer movie Birds.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever like, I don't know if they kept calling it The Rock as well. So
yeah.
Anyway, it was a fun movie, and thank you so much for chatting with me about it. If you guys get a chance, unfortunately, it's not streaming anywhere right now. You'd have to buy it on DVD. But I'd suggest buying it. I mean, like I said, there's a 3-pack, which has 3 of them.
Super cheap. Like,
yeah, you can find it used and new somewhere, and it's well worth it. I'd recommend it.
I would. It's like I said, it's fun. It's never boring. So
I'll give it 3 stars out of 5. Like, I think it's not something I would. It's something I would watch if it were on Sci-Fi and I was bored, or if somebody was like hanging out with me and was like, "Hey, what's this RoadKill movie?" I'd be like, let's watch that. It's not. It's a harmless little movie that might get people, sort of, might have a lot of fun. But
on a 5-point scale, I'd probably give it a 3 too. The only thing I think is not good about it is I hate the title. It's
generic.
It's such a generic, been used a zillion and one times title.
Oh yeah.
I'll say a word that's maybe not people don't like people to say, but like, I'm a title Nazi.
Why didn't they just call it Rock?
I can't stand like generic or like recycled titles. Like, you got to have a title that pops, and RoadKill is just a very blasé.
Ooh, they could have called it RockKill.
Yeah.
Right? Like R-O-K kill, RockKill.
Yeah, change it up. But I mean, that aside, it's still a fun movie though.
I think, honestly, I think RoadKill was the title because it, I mean, obviously what it did was,
it was a giant bird making some
actual roadkill
characters into roadkill.
Well, no, actually it wasn't. Because roadkill is generally when you find them on the side of the road and everything, but these things were put in a nest. Bad title. What? Just because they killed them while they were in a road? Sometimes they didn't kill them when they were in a road. Bad title. Should have been changed. You're right. I think just Rock, R-O-K.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Billy Madison when he's like, remember the spelling bee? It's like, no, you didn't. And he goes, Rock, R-O-K. He goes, yeah, what's your point? R-O-C-K. It's like, C is silent. You remember that line in that movie?
Vaguely, yeah.
That was so great. The C is silent. I never thought that, because I've always known to spell rock R-O-C-K, unless we're talking about rock, like the rock and the semi-rock or whatever. That's what it's called, whatever it is. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Dustin, for reviewing this with me, and everybody else. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Join us. I guess it's going to be next month. I think we'll be back to doing more movies with other, the other people in our group that have already done it before. So we'll have Dustin back this season, and then I think you'll be back for the last season, which is season 3, because there's only 27 movies, and if we do 10 a year, there's only enough time. So but thank you for watching this, and everybody, thank you for tuning in, and check us out next month. Bye, everybody.
Bye.